What if the reason you can't focus has nothing to do with your phone, your schedule, or your workload, but everything to do with what you tolerate inside your own mind? For years, you've been told the same story. Too many distractions, too much noise, too many responsibilities, and slowly you started to believe it. You told yourself, I just need better conditions. I just need more time. I just need to feel ready. But the Stoics would say something far more uncomfortable. Your focus is not being stolen, it is being surrendered. Every time you follow impulse instead of intention, you give it away. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you weaken it. Every time you let emotion decide your next move, you lose control of it. And this is where everything begins. Because the problem is not distraction. The problem is identity. In a world designed to scatter your attention, focus has become rare, and anything rare becomes powerful. Look around you. People are constantly moving, but rarely progressing. Scrolling, reacting, responding, but not building, not thinking, not finishing. They live in a state of constant reaction, and reaction is the enemy of control. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history. War, plague, betrayal, pressure from every direction. And yet, in the middle of that chaos, he wrote something that cuts through modern life like a blade. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That is the foundation of focus. Not control over the world, control over yourself. But most people live in reverse. They try to control outcomes, control opinions, control circumstances, and they ignore the one thing that actually belongs to them, their mind. Epictetus made it even clearer. Some things are in our control, and some things are not. Simple, but devastatingly powerful, because once you understand this, you realize something uncomfortable. Most of your energy is being wasted. You replay conversations that are already finished. You imagine outcomes you cannot control. You chase approval from people who do not live your life. You fight battles that were never yours to fight. And the result? Mental exhaustion before real work even begins. So the Stoics drew a line that changes everything. Inside the line, your thoughts, your actions, your effort, your discipline. Outside the line, opinions, outcomes, recognition, other people. Power begins the moment you respect that line, control what is yours, release what is not. Because whatever lives outside your control will always control you. Lesson 1. Control what is yours. Your focus collapses the moment you try to control the wrong things. You want silence without mastering your mind. You want clarity while feeding distraction. You want discipline without removing comfort. And that contradiction creates chaos. The distracted person is always looking outward, blaming the environment, blaming circumstances, blaming everything except the one place where control actually exists, within. Focus is not built by fixing the world, it is built by directing yourself. So start here, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Ask one question: what is mine to do in this hour? Not your entire life, not your future, this hour. Then protect that answer, aggressively. When emotion rises, remind yourself, feeling is not command. When distraction appears, say, it may exist, but it does not control me. This is how focus is rebuilt. Not in theory. In action. Most people are dragged by circumstance, but you don't have to be. Because a disciplined mind does not wait for ideal conditions. It creates order from within. And once you learn to control what is yours, the next problem appears. Time. Lesson 2. Possess the present hour, Seneca warned. While we are postponing, life speeds by. Read that again, not slowly, quickly, because that's how life moves. Focus does not disappear in one moment. It disappears in fragments, minutes lost, hours wasted, days postponed. You don't lose your life all at once. You lose it piece by piece. Every time you say, "I'll start later," you weaken your identity, because intention without action becomes self-betrayal. The more you delay, the more your mind learns something dangerous. I don't follow through. And once that belief is installed, focus becomes impossible, because you no longer trust yourself. This is why the Stoics emphasized the present moment, not as philosophy, as discipline. You don't need more time, you need ownership of the time you already have. So, stop planning endlessly, stop waiting for motivation, stop negotiating with yourself, sit down, remove one distraction. Start the task, not emotionally, not dramatically, just obediently. If the mind says later, answer with action now. If the task feels heavy, break it into the smallest possible beginning. Then begin. Because starting creates momentum, and momentum creates focus. Weak minds wait for the mood. Strong minds honor the hour. And once you control your time, the next battle appears. Comfort. Lesson 3. Stop negotiating with comfort. Here is a truth most people avoid. You don't lack focus. You avoid discomfort. You want deep work without boredom. You want success without repetition. You want clarity without sacrifice. That's not reality. That's fantasy. Every meaningful life is built on friction. And the moment you understand this, everything changes. Because discomfort stops being the enemy, it becomes the training. Most people start strong, then quit the moment it becomes hard. Why? Because they made a deal with comfort. They said, "I'll work as long as it feels good." And the moment it doesn't, they stop. That's not discipline. That's dependence. Comfort creates dependency. Dependency destroys resilience, and resilience is the foundation of focus. So, make a different agreement. Before starting anything important, tell yourself the truth. This will be difficult, repetitive, boring at times. Good, that means it's working. Because the things that build you rarely feel easy. Remove the option of escape. Stay with the task. Finish what you started, even when your emotions disagree. Because emotions change. Standards don't. The weak mind asks, "How can I avoid effort?" The disciplined mind asks, "How can I become the person who can carry it?" And that question changes your entire life. There is a version of you that is focused, relentless, unshakable. But that version is not built through comfort, it is built through resistance. And once you stop negotiating with discomfort, you begin to change. But even then, one final enemy remains, your own mind, because distraction is not only external, it is internal. Thoughts, fear, overthinking, mental noise. And if you cannot control what happens inside your mind, nothing outside will ever stay controlled. That is where the next level begins. There is a mistake most people make about focus. They think distraction comes from the outside, from phones, from people, from noise. But the real source of distraction is internal. Your thoughts, your reactions, your inability to stay with one thing without drifting. You can sit in a silent room and still be completely distracted, replaying conversations, imagining outcomes, arguing with people who aren't even there. This is where focus truly breaks, not in the world, in the mind. Marcus Aurelius understood this clearly. He reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not some of it, all of it, but that power only exists if you use it. Because if you don't control your thoughts, they will control you." Lesson 4. Guard the gates of your mind. Your mind is not neutral, it is a gate. And everything you allow through that gate shapes your reality. Resentment, fear, comparison, distraction. These are not harmless thoughts. They are intrusions. And most people allow them in freely. They wake up and immediately open the gate. Notifications, messages, opinions. Before they've even formed a single original thought, their mind is already occupied. This is not weakness. This is lack of discipline. Because discipline begins with awareness. Ask yourself, what am I allowing into my mind daily? Because whatever you repeat mentally becomes your identity. Modern science confirms this. Neural pathways strengthen with repetition. The Stoics already knew, thought becomes character, so you must become selective. When a thought enters, ask, does this serve me? If not, remove it, return to the task. Not aggressively, not emotionally, calmly, consistently. Focus is not never drifting. Focus is returning again and again and again. Average minds entertain every thought. Strong minds choose which thoughts stay, and once you learn to guard your mind, you face the next enemy, fear. Lesson 5. Fear is a story, not reality. Most of your fear does not come from reality. It comes from imagination. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about that. You fear failure before you begin. You fear judgment before you act. You fear difficulty before you experience it, and your body reacts as if it's real. Heart rate rises, focus drops, energy collapses, all because of something that hasn't even happened. This is how focus is destroyed. Before the work even begins, fear creates hesitation. Hesitation creates delay. Delay destroys momentum, and once momentum is gone, everything feels harder. So the Stoics did something powerful. They separated imagination from reality. They asked, what is actually happening right now? Not what could happen, not what might happen. What is real? And most of the time the answer is simple. Nothing is stopping you, except your own mind. So the solution is not thinking more, it is acting sooner. Make the call, start the task. Write the first line, because action destroys imagined fear. The longer you wait, the stronger the illusion becomes. The sooner you act, the weaker it gets. Cowardice grows in thought, strength grows in action. And when you stop feeding fear, your focus becomes sharper, cleaner, more direct. But even then, there is another force waiting to take control, the world itself. Lesson 6. Do not hand over your mind. Epictetus said something brutally honest. If someone handed your body to a stranger, you would be angry, so why hand over your mind? Think about that. Every notification, every comment, every opinion is asking one question: can I have your attention? And most people say yes. Instantly, they allow random voices to control their thoughts. One comment ruins their mood. One comparison destroys their confidence. One distraction breaks their focus. Not because it has power, but because they give it power. Your attention is not free. It is currency. And most people spend it without thinking. On people they don't respect. On opinions that don't matter. On distractions that don't serve them. And then they wonder why they feel weak. Because they are divided. A divided mind cannot focus. So you must become selective. Not cold, not disconnected, selective. Choose what deserves your attention. Choose who deserves your energy. Choose what deserves your time. Because whatever you allow in your mind will shape your direction. If feedback is useful, take it. If it is noise, ignore it. Not emotionally, strategically. Because not everything deserves a response. And the moment you understand this, you regain control. You stop reacting. You start choosing. and that shift is everything. There is a version of you that is not easily distracted, not easily influenced, not easily shaken. That version does not give attention freely. That version protects it. Because attention is power, and once you stop handing it away, your focus begins to rebuild. But there is still one final challenge, the hardest one: consistency. Because starting is easy, maintaining is difficult. And most people don't fail because they can't start. They fail because they don't continue. That is where the final transformation begins. Become the person who finishes. Most people don't fail because they can't start. They fail because they don't continue. Starting feels powerful. It gives you energy, momentum, hope, but continuation is where the real test begins. Because after the excitement fades, what's left? Repetition, silence, no recognition, no immediate reward. And this is where most people stop. They lose interest, they lose motivation, they move to something new, not because they can't succeed, but because they are addicted to beginnings. They love the feeling of starting, but they avoid the discipline of finishing, and every unfinished action weakens them. Every promise broken reduces self-trust. Every delay builds doubt, until one day they no longer believe in themselves, not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. Lesson 7. Finish what you start. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." But there is a deeper implication in his philosophy. If it is worth starting, it is worth finishing. Because reason, not emotion, should guide action. If your judgment has already decided this matters, then your feelings no longer get a vote. They follow, they don't lead. This is where discipline becomes real. Not when you feel strong, but when you don't and you continue anyway, because finishing builds identity. Each completed task tells your mind, "I follow through." And that belief changes everything. Confidence grows, focus strengthens, direction becomes clear. So, stop chasing motivation, build completion. Before you end your work, define the next step. Make it simple, clear, immediate. So when you return, you don't think, you act. Because thinking creates hesitation. Action builds momentum. Most people are addicted to starting. You must become addicted to finishing, and once you do, you stop being inconsistent. You become reliable. But consistency requires something deeper. Structure. Lesson 8. Build rituals, not dependence on motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It changes daily, sometimes hourly. If your focus depends on motivation, your life will always be unstable. Because you will only act when you feel like it, and feelings are inconsistent. The Stoics knew this. They didn't rely on emotion. They relied on structure. Daily rituals, fixed actions, a rhythm that does not change even when the mind resists. Wake up at the same time, work at the same time, reflect at the same time. Not because it's easy, but because it removes negotiation. Negotiation is where discipline dies. The moment you ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" you've already lost control. Because the mind will always choose comfort. So remove the question. Replace it with, "This is what I do." No debate. No delay. No emotion involved. This is how identity is built. Not through inspiration, through repetition. Small actions, done daily, until they become automatic. Until focus is no longer something you chase, it becomes who you are. Lesson 9. Discipline your body to strengthen your mind. Here is something most people ignore. Focus is not only mental, it is physical. A tired body cannot hold a sharp mind. A weak routine creates a weak focus. The Stoics understood this. They trained their bodies not for appearance but for control. Seneca said, "Treat your body rigorously so it does not become disobedient to the mind, because when your body is undisciplined, your mind follows. You sleep late, you eat poorly, you avoid movement. And then you wonder, why can't I focus? Because your system is unstable. Focus requires energy, clarity, stability, and those are built physically. So start simple. Sleep properly, move daily, eat intentionally, not extreme. Consistent, because consistency builds strength, and strength supports focus. When your body is disciplined, your mind becomes sharper, more alert, more controlled, more present, and suddenly, focus feels easier, not because life changed, but because you did. Lesson 10. Stop delaying your life. There is one final truth, the most dangerous one. You think you have time. Time to start later. Time to improve. Time to focus. But time does not wait. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now, not to create fear, but clarity. Because when you understand that time is limited, everything becomes sharper. Distractions lose value, excuses lose meaning, and focus becomes urgent, not rushed, intentional. Because every day you delay, you lose something you cannot recover, time, and time is not replaceable. So, stop saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. All you have is now, this moment, this hour, this decision. So use it, focus now, act now, build now, because one day you will look back, and you will either see a life of action or a life of hesitation. The difference is focus. Final truth, focus is your identity. Focus is not something you occasionally use, it is who you become. It is how you think, how you act, how you live. When you control your attention, you control your life. When you lose your attention, you lose direction. So remember what you've learned. Control what is yours, own your time, reject comfort, guard your mind, act despite fear, protect your attention, finish what you start, build discipline through ritual, strengthen your body, and stop delaying your life. These are not ideas, they are standards, and standards create identity. If you apply even a few of them, your life will begin to change. If you apply all of them, you will become unstoppable, because in a world full of distraction, focus is power, and power belongs to those who control themselves. If this changed how you think, don't ignore it. Take one action today, just one, that moves your life forward, and commit to it, quietly. Because real transformation does not need to be announced, it needs to be executed. If you're ready to stop being distracted and start being disciplined, subscribe, because this is not motivation. This is training. Become the master of your mind. Rebuild, refocus, rise,